It's Ellen, and today we're going to be talking about how changing prices can impact a firm's revenue. So, let's picture this. Ed Sheeran is holding a concert at Wembley, and his aim for this concert is to maximise his revenue from the ticket sales. So, he's got a set price fixed in his head, and he is wanting to sell a certain number of tickets at this price. So what Ed should do with altering his price depends on the PED. If demand for his concert is fairly elastic, then Ed should actually cut the price of his tickets because the drop in the price will be significantly smaller than the increase in quantity demanded. Therefore, total revenue will be maximised. However, if demand is inelastic, then Ed should actually raise the price of his tickets because the increase in the price will be much greater than the drop in quantity demanded. So that's the best thing he should do. And finally, if there is unitary elasticity of demand, any percentage change in price will be offset by an equivalent percentage change in quantity demanded. So, for moderate price changes, revenue will not hugely change. So we've established that Ed Sheeran picking his prices for his fantastic concert at Wembley is going to really be determined by the elasticity of demand. If demand is elastic, then reducing prices is going to be a much better tactic for maximising revenue, versus if demand is inelastic, then in the reverse, Ed should actually increase the prices of his tickets. So total revenue for the formula is price per unit multiplied by quantity demanded. And how does this relate to demand and PED? So if we visualise the demand curve, we've got a graph, and on the y-axis we've got price, and on the x-axis we've got quantity demanded, and then we have a downward sloping demand curve. So at zero demand, or the highest price, the PED is going to equal minus infinity. At the midpoint of the demand curve, elasticity is going to equal -1. And at zero price, or the highest level of quantity demanded, the elasticity for the product is going to equal 0. So PED of positive or -1 equals maximised total revenue. So if we kind of try and visualise this on the demand curve, the bit between the y-axis and when it hits the demand curve is going to be elastic, and the space after the demand curve, if we look at it on the kind of that horizontal plane, is going to be inelastic. And then the point where quantity demanded is equal to the demand curve is when it's unit elastic. So the closer a product's price is to this midpoint in the demand curve, the higher the revenue will be. So, if a product is price elastic in demand, decreasing price will increase the level of total revenue, and if you increase the price, there will be a decrease in the total revenue. Versus if you have a product which is price inelastic in demand, decreasing the price will lead to decreasing total levels of revenue, and vice versa, increasing the price will lead to increasing levels of total revenue. So we've established that in a scenario where a demand for a product is inelastic, if you decrease price, the revenue will also decrease. And when we've considered the relationship between PED and revenue and the demand curve, we know that at zero demand or high price, the PED is equal to -infinity. At the midpoint of the curve, the elasticity is equal to -1, which is also known as the unitary elasticity point. At zero price or high quantity, elasticity is 0. So at the point where PED is positive or -1, total revenue will be maximised. And then if we look at the options of what could lead to higher total revenue for a business, we know that maintaining the price of a unit elastic good is the best thing to do. We should increase the price of a price inelastic good. And if it's price elastic in its demand, we should decrease the price. So these are the various strategies which businesses should use to maximise their total revenue. Thank you very much for listening to this episode about how changes in price will impact levels of revenue. Next time, we're going to be talking a bit about supply.